Is there a quarterback worthy of being drafted in the first round?
Well, according to the Bill Parcells QB draft criteria, we are all over the map. Okay, we are all over the map. We came in thinking one thing. We are about a third of the way into the college football season, and we pretty much know nothing at this point. And what I will say is, as of right now, no, there's not. There is not a quarterback that has been consistent enough over a long period enough time for me personally that I feel great about going, yeah, that's a face of the franchise. I think there is great opportunities. I think there are guys with a lot of upside, but I think the question mark is when we talked about this draft criteria, right? How much of this is applicable and how much of it is not? And I think that's where we're going to head. But yeah, when you're talking about right now, no, I don't think that. And that's because if we took his draft criteria and we applied it to Carson Beck, Jalen Daniels, Cade Klubnik, and Drew Aller, of those guys, really only Drew Aller I get the upside and excitement about, but he can't win a big game.
No.
And I'm not drafting him in the first round. Carson Beck, I saw the tape last year, and sure as shit I'm not drafting him in the first round. Cade Klubnik forgot how to play football, and I have never seen Jalen Daniels play good football. So I'm not drafting any of those guys in the first round, Keith. And so if you take that criteria and you apply it, it's all over the map. It's all over the map. So I'm gonna assume, I know how critical you are of quarterbacks, that you probably don't want to draft any of them in the first round as of right now either.
No, and let's explain to the listeners and the viewers, how do we get to this conundrum?
For sure,
right?
of course.
And it's because we entered the season with the Garrett Nussmeyers, the Arch Mannings, the Cade Klubniks, the Drew Allers as the front leaders, and this was supposed to be one of the best quarterback classes that we've seen in a very long time. Unfortunately, they haven't been producing as one of the best quarterback classes of all time, right? Now, on the other side of that, who's playing well? The young guys, the guys we don't have a lot of tape on, right? And that'll be the Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. That would be Ty Simpson from Alabama. That would be Jaden Mayava from USC. Now, where does all of this stuff gets complex is because Bill Parcells, Hall of Fame coach, right? A guy that's developed quarterbacks, good situations, good coaches. Overall, some of his criteria was being a 3-year starter, being a senior in college, graduating from college, starting at least 30 games, maintain a completion percentage of 60%. So that's why we end up with the separation of guys who fit that criteria of Drew Aller, Carson Beck, Jalen Daniels, and Cade Klubnik. But you can't draft any of those guys in the first round. And this is where it puts it for me, too. I think when we look in the big scope of things when it comes down to quarterbacks, this is why we have to value the guys that when they are the guy, right? When you do get a talented quarterback that reaches certain thresholds, as a franchise, you have to put all of your investments into him because it doesn't come around a lot, right?
No,
it's not every year they're franchise quarterbacks. And if you look at some of the let's say some of the classes we've been most excited about. You go back to the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance conversation. They might be 1 for 5.
Maybe.
In that situation.
We're not sure about Trevor Lawrence
And then
still.
let's go to another recent quarterback class. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Might be 1 for 4, and we don't even know who the one is yet.
It might be a half.
Yeah, it might be a half, right?
Yeah.
And so even with those classes that we get excited about, because there's a lot of things to it, there's so much nuance to the quarterback position that when you finally get a guy, you have to hold on to that guy. And I always said this. I think there's a difference between having a guy that you can win a Super Bowl because of and then having a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with.
For sure.
But if you have a functioning starter, you might want to take that because quarterbacks are not just growing on trees left and right.
No, and there's not a generational talent every year that's coming out.
And
that's
we
kind
like
of
to say that.
That's kind of the problem that we've stumbled upon in this NFL draft community is we've decided that every year there's going to be a generational talent. And by definition, generational means once in a generation, which means we're not getting one every year. It's just not happening. And so when we talk about the Trevor Lawrences of the world, like Trevor Lawrence has not shown us yet that he's a generational talent. He's not even showed us that he's a good quarterback consistently in this league. Now, Jacksonville has had a chaotic situation. He's had multiple coaches. I think the Urban Meyer hire was one of the worst in the history of the NFL. And the Shaw family deserves a lot of credit or a lot of critiques because of that. Yep. Now they play in Jacksonville, so it's a lot quieter because the media market is very small. But I think when you talk about this conversation philosophically as a whole, the other two things is winning 23 games and having a touchdown to interception ratio of 2-to-1, right? This is the 7 core fundamentals of this Bill Parcells, how to draft a good quarterback. If we applied those, the guys that I listed, the Drew Aller, Carson Beck, Jalen Daniels, Cade Klubnik, those are the guys that fulfill that. That doesn't make, I'm like, about everybody on that list. I don't know. That's the most mid list of quarterbacks I've ever heard. And I don't feel great about any of those guys. So I think what we've stumbled upon philosophically here is there's somewhere in the middle, because of where football has changed and evolved, where you want some of those things to be important, but some of those things aren't. And so there is not a recipe any longer. And I don't think that there ever was, to be totally transparent, that if you fulfill all of these obligations, you will be a great starter in the NFL. I don't think if it was that easy, everybody would have a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's great. It's just not that easy. There's human error, there's human emotion, there's coaches, there's players, there's situations, and quarterbacks, as we've discussed, are very dependent upon the situation. But none of these guys in this class make me feel good about going to a bad situation. Like the Cleveland Browns, don't feel great about them getting anybody. I don't feel great about the New York Jets getting anybody. Like, these are bad situations that these guys are going to be put into, and they're already not showing you that they can handle the chaos in college football. So I don't feel like they can handle the chaos in the NFL. Now, maybe 5 years down the road, as these guys are dealing with their transfer portal and there's more changes, maybe it does turn out to be that philosophically they can handle the NFL. But right now, I don't feel great about any of these guys, Keith.
No, let's keep on the trend or the lane of talking about breaking down quarterbacks and what applies. When I look at this Bill Parcells list, right, it's two things that I take from it that I apply for my own quarterback evaluations, and that's experience and production, right?
Yeah,
I want guys that have played college football, and you have to have been productive in high leverage moments, especially. And when we watch quarterbacks and we grade quarterbacks, a lot of the quarterbacks that the NFL misses on is the guys that lack experience or they lack production, right? And we lean towards the guys with the physical tools. One I forgot, I think it was on ESPN. They were talking about generational talents at quarterbacks, right? And a couple of the guys that were named were, Andrew Luck's and Trevor Lawrence's, right? And I can't remember what analyst was on there, but he was also saying that Tom Brady and Drew Brees aren't generational talents, and I have to disagree to the utmost extent, right? Because the other problem with grading quarterbacks and evaluating quarterbacks, we make it such a physical thing when it's a lot more mental. A lot of what it goes into being a quarterback is 80% the mental side of it. We fall in love with the physical and what we can see as far as arm strength and ability to move, but how many times in the Anthony Richardsons and Trey Lances has that led us down a path where we say, man, this guy's a really good athlete, but he can't play quarterback, right? Or we get into these quarterbacks that have really big arms, but then they can't hit the broad side of a barnyard, right? So it has to be mental. We have to shift our thinking, because we shift our thinking, that's how we fall into the Brock Purdy's and the different conversations, the Tom Brady's, right? Or the Drew Brees is too damn short, the Russell Wilsons, and then these are guys that you can win Super Bowls with, but they don't check necessarily the criteria. So I look at production, I look at experience.
Yeah, I think the wins, the amount of starts, the experience, like you talked about. Jamie Eisner, obviously our producer and COO, has said, I'm never drafting a one-year starter. And that's the one thing I think is a non-negotiable, because you can be great for 1 year.
Things can go your way, right?
1 year. Right, 1 year, and you can have a year where you've got 4 first-round wide receivers and 4 first-round tackles and 4 running backs and a defense that literally all went to the NFL. Like, at a certain point, I'm not going to draft you if I've only seen you be good for 1 year. And that's just the experience, I think, matters. Good experience matters, but also chaotic experience, I think, matters. How you handle bad situations, because in the NFL, when you're getting drafted high, you're 99.9% of the time going to a situation where it's not going to be easy. You're going to a media market. You're leaving Tuscaloosa, Alabama to go to New York. These are tough situations for these kids. And so if I've seen them be insulated their whole career, that I have a problem with as well, because why would I entrust my franchise to somebody who's never endured tough situations? And I don't want to manufacture those situations, but I also, if I was an owner, would not want to draft somebody who's never had to go through the mud a little bit. Because if things are always easy for you, you don't know what it's going to be like for them when things go sideways. And if you're in the NFL, things are going to go sideways. At some point in your career, you're going to have to figure it out. And I don't feel very confident in guys who've never had to do that before.
Yeah, I mean, and look where we stand now, right? We're just our generation of quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Like the legends in our game. Tom Brady had to go through adversity, and I'm not talking about in the NFL, in college.
In college.
Peyton Manning had
Correct.
to go through adversity in college. Aaron Rodgers had to go through adversity being a JUCO guy, then transferring to Cal, then get skipped over the draft.
Sure.
So you have to know how tough your quarterbacks are before you draft those guys. So that's why I say, and I agree with you, it's the toughness factor, right? And what quarterbacks, they're probably the one position that I actually like to watch the TV copy also. Because I love when the ESPN cameras, ABC, whatever, they pan to the quarterback, and I want to see what you look like after you threw an interception.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I want to see how you respond. I told him, we talked about the Dante Moore situation yesterday where I seen him go over to his teammates, and I'm like, you know what? That's a dog, right? I can take that. I can rock with that.
How do you interact with your teammates?
All of
how
it
do you
matters.
That's the number one question I get asked by anybody in the NFL, whether that's personnel, GMs, head coaches that I've talked to over the last 10 years covering this league. What do they ask me? At the Senior Bowl, when we have exclusive access and we get a lot of time to see these guys, who are the quarterbacks sitting with? How are they interacting with their teammates? Do they sit by themselves? These are the types of things that people care about, because you're not just talking about leading a football team on the football field. You are a face of the franchise. There's a different expectation when you get drafted in the first round to be the guy. They are investing in you at the highest level, and they got to be as sure as they can that you can handle that.
Yeah, and when you're the leader of the locker room, this is why it becomes so complex for an NFL quarterback. Is that it's not just one position, right? And you stay to yourself. You're, like you said, you're the face of the franchise. So you represent 80 different men, right, in a locker room in different capacities that come from
races,
different walks of life.
Yep.
And they all have to be like, you know what? I believe in this one singular guy.
I trust him.
Even though they may not even have anything in common with each other, right?
100%.
They have to have the one thing in common, that they believe in you. So it'll be interesting. And like I said, I think what we should do is we have another show where we kind of really break down our criteria, right?
Yeah,
but I always say, I want experience, I want production, I want to see high leverage moments, and you show up.
And I want to see how you act around your teammates, and I want to see you go through the mud. I want to see you go through the mud. And whoever the hell, I don't know if you attributed it to somebody, but whoever the hell said that Tom Brady is not a generational talent, you need to leave the media.
Yeah, it's because you're putting the wrong basis on
what do we do sports for?
Right.
To win the damn game. What do? We do this so we can win. If you don't want the winners, then I don't know what the hell we're talking about. Yeah, it's a great athlete. If he can't win in this league, what the hell does it matter?
Yeah.
That's the weirdest criteria I've ever heard of. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't won shit, he's generational, but Tom Brady's not.
Right.
What are we doing? Literally, what are we doing?
Yep, 100%. Well, let's do this. Let's have some fun. We're going to name off our top 5 NFL teams, and then we're going to name off the bottom 5. We're going to provide balance here, right? So I'm going to name off the top 5, and I want you to just kind of point out what stands out to you, what teams you think are still trending upwards, or which teams you think are trending downwards.
For sure.
So top 5 teams, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. We have the Buffalo Bills. We have the Detroit Lions. We have the Los Angeles Rams. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers. What stands out to you from our top 5?
Our top 5 is all about, obviously, the top of this league right now, 4-0, 3-1. But this is also about how they've won, how they look, different ways of winning, coaching staffs, quarterbacks, where they sit, and the opportunity to win. I think there are other teams. We are looking at this year and this year alone. We're not factoring in the Patrick Mahomes factor of last year. We're watching the tape and we're going, this team's not a top 5 team right now.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they can't be, but right now they're not one of the best 5 teams in the NFL. These are the best 5 teams that we've seen over the first 4 weeks of the year. There's a lot of time. We all know you don't win Super Bowls in September, but right now those are the top 5, and they all have a mix of a great coach, a great quarterback, a system we can believe in. They've won different types of ways. And at the end of the day, Philadelphia is at the top because they're 4-0. They have a quarterback that we believe in, and they've got championship DNA. It's hard for me to supersede and put the Bills over the top of them or anybody else when you're talking about a team that has now gone on the road, stayed at home, dealt with adversity, different changes, coordinators leaving, doesn't matter. They continue to win. Everybody can yell about the tush push. Oh, yeah, we're going to fake the tush push and we're going to score with the running back. Like, y'all keep bitching and they keep winning. That's how I feel. Y'all can keep saying what you want to say, but you know what Nick Sirianni said? He said, double middle fingers to the sky because watch this shit. And that was one of the best plays I've seen was the fake tush push this year. And God, I was like, well, that's creative. That's fun. And it was only a matter of time before we saw it. And so I think when we talk about the top of this list, the reason Buffalo Bill fans, you can't be mad, you haven't won shit. Sorry. You can't. You're both 4-0, but there's one team that has won a Super Bowl. There's one team that's got championship DNA, and there's one that doesn't. So the Philadelphia Eagles, until somebody beats them, they're the top of the list for me.
Yep. The team I'm going to go to is the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
And that's
because, I love the Rams.
Yeah, and as much as we love the Philadelphia Eagles, this has made 2 contests, back-to-back contests. They met them in the playoffs. They just met them, was it last week, right?
Yep.
And they give the Philadelphia Eagles a run for their money.
Everything
they are good at the strengths of what the Philadelphia Eagles are good at. Talking about the trenches, right? On the deep side of football, they have defensive players that can battle with Philadelphia.
Good GMs that draft good players.
Thank you. Yep. And so, and then a good quarterback, right? Matthew Stafford can throw for 300 yards against anybody. So I'm looking at the Los Angeles Rams, and I think they could be potentially on a collision course to be with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Or they could potentially knock them off in the first round of the playoffs.
Sure.
I just
the Rams are a team that are not afraid to go to Philly.
Yeah.
They've shown that. They almost beat them last year, and they were putting them away this year. I think
they let their foot off the gas.
Yeah, they let their foot off the gas, and this is a team like there are a lot of teams that are afraid. The Rams are not afraid. They've got a quarterback and a head coach that have won a Super Bowl together. They've got great players. They've added a guy like Devontae Adams who's hungry and wants to win. This is a very, very talented team, and Jared Verse might be, if not my favorite, he's in my top 3 favorite guys to watch in the NFL right now. Young, hungry, talking shit, plays defense the right way. In a post era of, you thought, you're looking at Aaron Donald and you're going, how the hell are they going to replace that? Right? I'm not saying he's there, but man, they have drafted so damn well to replace what is a generational talent on defense and not skip a beat.
Yep, and I'm old enough to remember all the days where all the haters said that Les Snead, right, was ruining the Los Angeles Rams, that they went all in on a Super Bowl and then they were going to be so bad. Guess what? They won a Super Bowl, had the Super Bowl ring, and then now they're back in contention to potentially win another Super Bowl with a whole new cast defensively because they drafted well.
Yeah, it's almost like drafting well matters. Yep. It's almost like when you have a good general manager who knows how to draft, because Puka Nacua is what, a 5th round pick?
Yep.
Looks like a pretty damn good pick, and that was another pick they had who won an MVP, Cooper Kupp, who they shipped to Seattle and said, yeah, we got a new one, Puka Nacua. That's what happens when you draft well. That's what happens when you have a damn good quarterback, and that's what happens when you have a good coach.
Yep. Well, let's talk about the worst of the NFL.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone.
Let's have some fun. So we have the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, the Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, and Carolina Panthers. What stands out to you?
What stands out here to me is the New York Jets, because I think most of the other teams had very little to no excitement coming into the year, whereas Jets fans kind of were bought into this regime of this was Aaron Glenn, Justin Fields, and the first game kind of was a total. They played the Steelers to the. I mean, it was a great game, and you were like, damn, the Jets really showed us something. I remember Mike Greenberg on Get Up the next morning going, I know we lost and you can't learn a lot from losses, but this feels like we learned something from this loss. And I felt the exact same way. And oh my, 3 weeks later, how I feel differently. This is just catastrophic for the New York Jets. I think you have to be in the bottom 5 list this early, to be winless at this point is unacceptable. And when I'm looking at these teams and I'm looking at this roster, this is just not going to get better, Keith. And I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. The other teams I can talk you into, okay, Cam Ward and being excited. Okay, Cleveland, you've still got a really good defense. You still have something. I don't know what to sell the Jets fans on. I don't have anything to sell them. Yeah. I can't sell them anything. They got nothing for me to sell. And I can sell really well, but I got nothing to sell for the Jets. There's nothing left to sell you guys.
Yep, I agree.
Yankees fans. Become Yankees fans, become Giants fans. This is your only thing that I'm selling you is choose the right teams in New York, Jets fans.
That's your out.
My out is become a better fan.
Yeah.
Choose the good teams. That's it.
Choose to be a winner.
Choose to be a winner this day and every day going forward.
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. And reason is that the Joe Flacco thing is done. What are we doing at this point, right? And I get it, we're trying to win games. I respect the hell out of Joe Flacco, but we just had this quarterback conversation at the top of this. This quarterback class is not looking great.
Yeah.
So your quarterback next year might be either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders.
And you got to find out if that's it.
And it can't be one. You have to play both of those guys because you need to figure out who's really a dude. Because even if Dylan Gabriel plays okay, the conversation that's going to be going in the back of Cleveland Browns fans' minds is Shedeur Sanders great? If Shedeur Sanders plays good, and then people are going to be thinking about Dylan Gabriel, like, man, I wonder if he's really a good quarterback. So you have to have final answers on both of those guys. So go ahead. I respect Joe Flacco. quarterback, won a Super Bowl, tough, gritty, everything else. It's just not helping you move forward in no capacity. And we're watching Joe Flacco run around, throw the ball all over the place, just different situations. It's just the best word for Joe Flacco starting for the Cleveland Browns is unnecessary. It's just unnecessary at this point. There's no reason to do it. I just think that you put in one of the young guys and you figure out where you go from there, so that way you know what you have moving into the offseason.
Joe Flacco, when I saw that your children were not wearing your jersey, but in fact were wearing the jersey of the opponents, I decided it was time for your retirement,
was it Jahmyr
my friend.
Gibbs? It was Jahmyr?
It was Jahmyr Gibbs, and I said, dear God, no child of mine would be rocking an opposing jersey in my household. Something wrong over there. Something wrong over there. I think it's time to hang it up, Joey, and respectfully, it's time to hang it up.
Yep, let's do this. We did NFL, right? We did the top 5 NFL teams. We did the bottom 5. We got lists coming.
We did top 5 on top 5 on bottom 5 on bottom 5, and we're doing the top 5 again. Yeah, we want 5 on 5 on 5.
We had a hell of a weekend in college football.
Yeah, this was the best weekend we've had.
And I think we had 4 teams within the top 10 lose. That was Penn State.
Yep.
That was LSU.
Georgia.
That was Georgia.
Yep.
And we're Florida State.
Yep.
So we had a lot of teams lose, and so it's a lot of shakeup. We want to give our top 5 college football teams. Yep. I'm going to rank these in order. You ready?
Yep.
We're going Oregon Ducks. We're going Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going Ole Miss Rebels. We're going Miami Hurricanes. We're going Oklahoma Sooners. That is the top 5
That
teams.
should be the top 5.
That's the top 5 teams in college football.
It is the top 5 teams in college football. And I get the Ohio State thing, but the team with the best and most impressive win thus far is the Oregon Ducks. Mm-hmm. And I respect Ohio State, but what Oregon is doing year over year is impressive. And they are consistently, and I like Julian saying, I like Dante Moore more. I like the roster in Ohio State. I like Oregon's more. Mm-hmm. And I think when you talk about going a statement win, a statement victory, that was a statement win. You went into probably in the Big Ten, that's the toughest environment. That is at night, a whiteout at Penn State with all the momentum, undefeated. It was as loud and as electric as it could possibly be, and they went in and got the victory in overtime. So I think that's where I like Ohio State. I think we just put them to 2. We didn't so relax, Buckeye fans. I don't want to get any hatred from you guys because you guys like to comment on our YouTube channel very often. So I would like to say the Oregon Ducks, number 1, I think shouldn't even be in question. Yeah. And I think obviously what Ole Miss did to LSU, shout out to Lane Kiffin. Can I say that he was my favorite part of the entire weekend? Because dear to God, did he plot, plan, and execute very well. That's my dog, man. And shout out to Landry Kiffin as well.
Yeah, he created a distraction and then executed off his own distraction while
he's
convincing people that it was going to be a distraction for him.
Yeah.
Nope, he set this thing up the entire time.
Oh, no. They posted after the game, set it off with all the photos, and I went, ooh, baby. It's up in Oxford right now. They are having a time, and I love me some Lane Train.
Yep. I'll go this with the top 5, the Miami situation.
Yeah.
We have Miami at 4.
That's the team I feel the least
I still have a lot of questions about. And listen, they started the season
off. And it's Carson Beck. If I'm being honest, I'm still so nervous. I still have PTSD from last year.
Well, we have PTSD over if the Hurricanes are back because we've heard it so many times over the past 20 years, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Since the days of Andre Johnson
100%.
and Frank Gore. And
it happened with Texas for a little while, too, where you had Sam I can't remember his last name. You know who I'm talking about?
Sam Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger that came and said, Texas is back, and then they weren't back.
Yeah.
It took a while. It took many years after that for Texas to actually be back. And it kind of feels the same with the U. It's been sold to us so many times. And I just, Carson Beck in the playoffs?
Yeah, in big moments, we definitely have to see it.
I'm not feeling great about it.
And I'm going to say this, the last 2 teams, and it's not my SEC bias, okay?
Oh, it's definitely
2 teams.
It's definitely SEC bias.
2 teams I'm watching out for, Alabama and Georgia. I was impressed.
Sure. Ty Simpson was impressive.
Yeah, Ty Simpson was really impressive. That was 2 teams that I had question marks about just because it was not a lot of returning starters, right? Like people in key positions. And when you watch the game, right, just watching the game in totality, I thought that was high level, high quality
for sure.
football.
And the problem for the Sooners is how long is John Mateer going to be out? Right? And
hopefully you don't lose.
And if you can weather the storm and he comes back, I think you stay in that position, but that is to be determined. But as of what we've seen thus far, how they've shown thus far, they have been a top 5 team. John Mateer, if he was healthy, would be in our discussion about a round 1 quarterback up at the top of the show because he's been playing his ass off. So I hope that he comes back. I hope that Oklahoma can kind of keep on this trajectory. But Miami and Oklahoma are the 2 teams that I feel the least confident in, and we still have a lot of football to be played.
Whole lot of football.
We got a lot of football to be played. We could look back at this and go, yeah, that whole 5 is out. Who knows? Who knows where we're going to be in a month?
Yeah, well, I do know this. We have Final Point coming up, and I think you want to talk about your guy, right? Mr. Ben Johnson.
The Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
That is the Ben Johnson to everybody else outside of this room and everywhere in every city, but especially in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That is the Ben Johnson to you, everybody. And let me just, this is my final word. Matt Eberflus, okay? Everybody knows who Matt Eberflus is, now the defensive coordinator in Dallas. He has his hands full with the Dallas Cowboys defense.
The football guys are just not aligning with him right now.
I feel Matt, you were a really nice guy, but man, am I happy that Ben Johnson's my head coach. And you want to know why? When Ben Johnson won on the road in Las Vegas this past weekend, he surpassed Matt Eberflus with road wins as a Chicago Bears head coach. He went 0-18 on the road or something ridiculous like this. This was the fact that Matt Eberflus coached for 2 years in Chicago and we never got – he found new ways to lose on the road that I had never seen before. He forgot how to take timeouts. He forgot how to have end-game clock management. The Hail Mary was the most disastrous bullshit I've ever watched as a fan. Like Tyreek Stevenson was off talking to the fans. There were new ways to lose on a week-by-week basis, and man, oh man, times have changed. Ben Johnson is a psychopath, and I love it. He's our psychopath. Chicago is behind you, baby. This is our guy, Ben Johnson. Congrats on your road victory. Congrats that you've already surpassed Matt Eberflus. And my, oh my, the standards have changed because if this is how this is, we're just going to keep on keeping on. So, Ben, congrats on your first road victory. It's going to be the first of many because this team's on its way up, baby. High point for the Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears optimism is at an all-time high here.
So it's a low bar to clear. We had a low bar to clear, so it doesn't take much.
We might be 1 or 2 wins away from Super Bowl conversations.
Oh, you're damn right. You're damn right, because 2 weeks ago, everybody told me that Caleb Williams sucks, and now we're 2-2, and joke's on all of you. You're idiots.
Yep. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring mine back to college football.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to talk to the head coach for the University of Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, and I'm going to tell you this. That's how you coach. From now on, that's how I want you to coach, man. Yeah. You had the passion. You had the integrity. You walked in with a plan to execute. This is the SEC. It just means more, and you showed the hell up. There were times in the past, there were games in the past where your team had situations, right? There were players not playing up to par, and we would pan to the sideline, and you were just standing there. The biggest difference when I seen with Kalen DeBoer, he was active. He gave a goddamn, right? People in Alabama, they don't have much. They have the roll tied, and that's about it. And he showed the same amount of passion. I appreciated him going into Georgia and walking out of there with the win. I jumped into the film today. They did an excellent job. And I said that when we were watching the game, and then I went back and watched all 22, they outcoached Georgia. Yeah, they outcoached Georgia. Ty Simpson let that thing rip. He had that quarterback ready to rock and roll in the most hostile environment he's faced thus far, when all of them were pretty much coaching for their job at the end of the day. So I just wanted to give Kalen DeBoer his credit, give him his flowers. I think, my brother, you might last a couple more weeks now with that win, right? Like it'll buy him some more time. But I think it was almost, and I seen him and Kirby Smart embrace at the end of the game. It was almost a situation where it was like you belong, right?
Yeah,
like, hey, good job. I see you. Yeah. And he needed that. So I wanted to give a shout out to Kalen DeBoer because as much negative flack he took, right, you have to give him his credit. He walked into there when I don't think nobody gave them a shot to win their game, and they won their football game.
I would like to talk to the state of Alabama. Y'all owe Kalen DeBoer an apology because y'all wanted to ship his ass out, and he went to Georgia, one of the toughest environments in the SEC, something that you guys haven't done in a while, to that environment in a road game on prime time, and got a victory. So you know what? All the Alabama callers to the Paul Feinbaum show sure been quiet this week, baby. Should write some apology letters to my boy Kalen DeBoer because he deserves it. He deserves it.
Well, there we go. Paige Dimakos. That wraps up another episode of Draft Club. I'm Keith Sanchez. That's Paige Dimakos. This is Draft Club. Players only.